Welcome back, everybody, for another Silver Dollar Chevy edition of Pole Barn Garage. I've already been out here today working and sweating to death, trying to knock out some body work on the thing. We're going to jump right in where we left off, getting these doors straightened out as best we can, knock down the front of it, and get this cab in a coat of primer. Alright, I've got 2 coats of mud on this door now. They're just real thin coats. You can see that it still flexes with the metal. Very thin. It's not perfect. It's a little bit wavy, and that's alright. We're just going to have to wait till we get some primer on it so we can really start working it. But I want to make sure I got a good foundation here to start with. I'm just using a board file. It's a 40 grit to remove the material kind of rapidly. What we really want to try to do here is leave it kind of fat so we can blend it in with some primer. These look reasonably decent. I did use some mud in a few spots in filler. It's generally a really bad idea because you go sanding this, well, you're going to sand this and this too, and you'll end up with moving the low spot on either side of it. But I think if I'm careful enough, I can get it close enough to block sand. Now I'm just going to knock down the hood and this fender with some 180 so it'll be ready to prime. And I think there's one dent in this front filler panel here somewhere. Damn truck! Can't reach it. Still got a dent here in this filler panel here. Well, I'm gonna work on it some more with the hammer and dolly just a bit and make it a little bit better. It's all hidden by the bumper, so I'm not super concerned about it. I just don't want it to be really bad. You know, so I'm gonna work on it in the dark here where I can't see what I'm doing because, well, if you're a good body man, you don't need light. Good enough. Well, now that the body work is absolutely perfect with no flaws whatsoever, we'll blow it off. And then I'll mask it off, and we'll spray some primer, and then I'll go to bed for once. Just going to use the Dollar Tree masking tape to mask this thing off. And I'll tell you what, this stuff is surprisingly good, but only the blue kind. Several beers later, and the truck is now masked. Let's go ahead and spray some primer on this thing and then wrap this up for tonight. What's my weapon of choice going to be here? Gravity feed? No. Hate them. Old school all the way. That's my good gun. He's old sharp. I don't know, let's go with this one though. It's got the marker quality on it. This thing came with a 2.0 tip on it. It's huge. It's actually really good for primer. Not so good for painting the car though, unless you do a metal flake or something like that. Alright, what we're going to be using here is a little bit of U-pole, because I had it left over and it's still good. Several years old, probably used it to restore my ex-wife's car because I was such a horrible person. We're going to use the hardener here on my well-organized workbench and always keep a clean work area. If I'm not wrong, this stuff mixes 4 to 1. That means 4 parts primer to 1 part hardener. You don't have to reduce it, but I always use a little bit of medium urethane reducer, but I always thin it out a little bit, otherwise it ends up like popcorny. We'll pour this very exact amount of reducer in. Yep, that's it. Big thanks to somebody who sent me this new respirator here. There's one thing I do absolutely always take precaution on is when I'm spraying aerosolized chemicals, I wear a respirator. You know, the dust and stuff is bad, but this is much worse. So always wear one of these. The thing is, you always want to start on your bodywork. So we're going to hit every bit of filler on this and feather that edge out a little bit before we do the whole truck. That way we have something really heavy and thick to block. And this U-pole primer, it builds really high, really thick stuff. Primer is really easy to get along with. It's a great thing to start off learning how to spray things out of a spray gun. It's very forgiving. You can get away with almost anything. And then we're going to look at it wet. And we're going to be looking for any waves or dents or dings and stuff like that too. Just while we can take advantage of it. Well, it's obviously not done, and I am out of this primer. So I'm going to do what you're absolutely not supposed to do. I'm going to change brands in the middle of a job. Genius. Not really. Never do this. Also, what the hell is this? I've never even heard of it. I don't even remember buying it. God, this stuff is junk. I really got to get the paint shaker fixed. No. Damn it. This is called ingenuity. Maybe not. After literally like 20 minutes of stirring this, it's finally okay again. The other brand of primer has had enough time to gas off now, so it should be totally fine to spray over at least. So about 5 coats of primer later, truck's all gray. Do I trust that primer? No! I think I put enough of it on here. It should make up for the fact that it's probably kind of thin from sitting and separating like that. This is ready to block sand now, and this is where you do your body work, is here in the primer. You know, you get your base set, then you build it with the primer. Every bug in the whole county came by to visit. Hey George, how's the wife? Is it really a good body work and paint job if there's not a little protein in it? You know, it's organic. All right, we're back out here. I'm just kind of getting lined up here to try to put the bed together on this. I'm going to clean all these up and paint all the rails with some shaker can just to clean them up a bit. I ended up having to salvage the rear bed support out of the original bed. It's not in bad shape really. And the front bed panel, which likewise is kind of dirty, and I mean, it's got a little rust where it doesn't really matter. Could buy a new one. I just forgot to, and well, I'm tired of spending money. A little sandpaper and clean it up a little bit and send it. I mean, it's been around this long. It'll be around a while longer. I'm getting the most important part. The part that shows. This time on Pole Barn Garage, I'm once again hanging things from the ceiling and spray painting them with this Bear spray paint. They sell it at Home Depot. Never tried it before. It was cheap too. It was only like $4. Look at that, brand new. No rust at all. Will this rot out eventually? Yes. Will it last longer than I will? Probably. Now these braces I picked up are actually beautiful. No rust whatsoever. Well, the hell that I made a decision. I think I'm just going to paint the truck cab first, and we're going to do it the right way. That way we can safely roll the truck out of here, put the bed together, you know, paint every piece of the bed. It's just black, so there's no color to match. It really is the best way to do it, and I shouldn't try to cut corners with that, at least. So, we're going to be focusing on this. Sorry for the discombobulation that this video is becoming, but that's the way life goes. So we're going to take our spray paint, and we're going to zebra stripe this thing. And the technical term for this, I suppose, is called a guide coat. And the thing is, you don't need to coat the whole thing, but you got to get that black on here so that you can see the low spots in the primer. Block sanding, the black will be left behind, and the primer will be removed. And then where the black is left behind, that's a low spot, a wave, or a dent, or a ding, or something you may otherwise not see. Alright, now it's time to block sand. Now, you can use hand blocks, and you usually do later on in the process, but for now, we're just going to use an airboard on all the flat surfaces, and a DA where we can't get into them, and then hand sand the rest. You set a base, and then you block. And then you block some more. You prime some more, then you block some more, then you block some more, and then you prime some more, and then you block some more, and prime and block and block and prime and block and prime, and then theoretically, you have a good truck afterwards. We'll see. This is how the sausage is made, right here. This is what you pay for when you have a car painted. So I just block sanded this, and this is what you're looking for. Now I can feel it with my hand. You see this dark spot right here? That's low. See how it's starting to wear through to metal right here? That's high. So we're going to block it until we start to see what's underneath. And we're going to have to stop there because there's no point in going further. And then we'll have to make a decision on whether we maybe put a coat of glazing putty over it to fill it, or just continue priming and blocking until it goes away. So I've got too much bare metal showing here. It did get rid of a lot of it, but not enough. So that's actually probably going to need some glazing putty. And so is this area by the door handle where we had to weld that brace back in. Another problem area right here. This is where the door was crushed in, and I can feel a wave there, but I'm not seeing it real bad. Pretty minor, I'm going to say, but I'm going to keep blocking it just in case. Not bad, actually. That came out pretty decent. I think another couple coats of prime will block that. This is not going to block, although it's not bad. It actually came out a lot better than I was anticipating. The middle of this door is going to be a nice proof of concept here, because you can see in it right now all these dark spots. That's low. That means this thing's wavy. It means if you were to spray this right now, you'd see all those ripples that you see in a kind of a poorly bodyworked car, right? We're not going to have that because we have a black truck, so it's got to be pretty good. See these lighter spots right here? That's the first coat of primer we put on the truck. Remember, I used 2 different brands. I'm getting close to cutting through all the way. However, I've managed to block out a lot of this. We got a pretty good ding here. We got some screw ups here that spot putty will take care of. We got a pretty good ding right there. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it, considering this was very rough. Then we got a couple little things down here. I'm not really concerned about anything here. This area right here is what you're going to pay attention to. Then we're going to put a stripe on it. A lot of it is disguise, okay? You can hide things, you know, you're going to look a lot better. I'm going to hand sand the window frame, and you can use a block for it, but you can use your palm too. If you're careful about it, once you get a feel for it, just make sure you're using your palm of your hand, not your fingers. Don't finger sand it, you'll end up with grooves in it. Now this whole area here, it's pretty foobarred, I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's probably just going to have to look like crap. We'll try to make it the best we can. So I'm going to cheat the process a little bit and use what's called icing or glazing putty. The first kind of spot putty you have is this stuff. This is Bondo brand red spot putty. Now this kind is terrible. It sucks. Don't ever use it. But what this is really good for is just filling in these little like nicks, stuff like that. Places where the Bondo, you know, it had like an air pocket under it, you sanded it off and it popped out. It's not really good for much anything else because it's a self-catalyzing filler, meaning it just dries in the air. You don't add any hardener to it, nothing like that. You can use it to help blend an edge. Like I could probably get away with it right here, where there's some filler here into this bare metal. It's just real thin. Now we've got some more aggressive stuff going on here than that spot putty would rightfully be able to handle. We got a pretty big low spot right here, low spot right here actually. I could probably leave this one alone. Along the front door edge is kind of wavy, something like this. This is U-Pole Fantastic Glaze. It's okay, it's kind of a cheap version. Basically it's a super fine fart body filler. I mean, it's literally creamy like icing. It's got the consistency of like, I don't know, mayonnaise or something. Actually, like a custom shop will coat a whole car in this stuff, then smooth that out. Most of those really nice cars that you see are basically constructed entirely out of this. And that's because when these trucks, cars, whatever were new, they looked horrible. You mix it up just like any other kind of filler with a catalyst. This stuff is so easy to sand, I'll be able to hand sand it with ease. It's already trying to harden on me. I think I got it, but I'm gonna have to go get some more. I've returned with my new box of shop supplies. It's nice to have something to run to the parts store in when you look like you just got done at your shift at the blow factory. I'm going to get back to blocking, and it's all going to be pretty much the same deal. Let's keep going. This door is going to need some work just like the other door, so I'm going to go jump right to here. The fenders and hood for aftermarket panels, they are very straight. I gotta hand it to them. I don't like the fitment, but actually the hood fit fine, but I don't like the fitment of the fenders. But very rare do you find an aftermarket panel that's not just covered in dings. So I got some different spot putty here. This is U-Pole Fantastic Glazing spot putty. I get this stuff on discount at O'Reilly because I lied to them and said I have a shop. I mean, oh yeah, that's so much better quality than that Bondo brand stuff. So the side of this door is so foobar. We're gonna have to do a show car special on her and just skin the whole damn thing. It's kind of what I did up here. I'm literally gonna coat this thing top to bottom in glaze putty, just to save myself some time down the road, I hope. You just crap some of this out on your mixing board. I know there's going to be people in the comments. Keep your eye out for them. They're going to be like, oh my god, it's a Bondo bucket. These are people who have never ever painted a car or bodyworked or been within 10 miles of a body shop. There's nothing wrong with using this material for its exact intended purpose. I don't know. I'm sorry the Discovery Channel lied to you. The smoother you put this stuff on, the better off you're going to be. That's a lot of icing, but it's actually very thin. In fact, you can see through it in places. This is just like a very thick coat of primer. In fact, they make this stuff in a sprayable form, and maybe that's what I should have gone with, but I think the rest of the truck is okay. Both of these doors will block that down, just like we block sanded everything else, and then we will hopefully have a door. Now, if for whatever reason you're dead set on building some upper body strength and using a block, Durablocks are about the best way to go. And this hood scoop has enough curves to it, I can't really use the air file. I've noticed on this hood, I don't really have a lot of dents in it, but I have a lot of updings in it from the stamping. Like their die has got some burrs in it when they stamped it. Not surprising, considering where it came from. As someone who's worked in a stamping plant before, I can tell you that our United States die makers don't let stuff like that slide. See how the tops of these fenders turned out. See how Dad's magic turned out. I bet it looks pretty damn good. When I was growing up, we didn't have hardly anything. I always had a cool car, and it wasn't because we had money, and it wasn't because Dad spent all our money on the damn car, or tools, or anything like that. In fact, we had almost nothing. Dad would work on a gravel floor in a barn and create magic out of it. And it's because he knows how to make do with literally nothing. Kind of where I get some of it, not all of it. I can't do quite the same things he does. But if something didn't work, Dad would just make it work, period, you know. A lot of people use, well, I don't have the money or I don't have the resources as an excuse. That's true to an extent, but I'm telling you, I mean, he would like recover seats with something he found at Goodwill and they'd look amazing. You know, it's just a matter of get outside the box and think. It don't need things to be perfect. It doesn't matter. This isn't the right way to do it. Who gives a fuck? You'd either have it done the right way eventually, after 50 years of you trying to save up every last penny you've had and starving your family to death, or you could just make the fucking thing work and then go enjoy it and have fun with your family and raise a son who's also interested in cars because he saw his dad just making shit work. And that's just a no-brainer to me. No-brainer to me. It was always fun working out in the shop with Dad. Because if it wasn't perfect, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's for fun. This is a fun hobby. If you make everything perfection, it ruins it. I just finished blocking the fenders of the truck and the rest of the hood that I had left. I can't tell you strongly enough how impressed I am by these fenders. There's a couple little waves in there, but nothing that won't just block out easy enough. These are probably the straightest aftermarket panels I've ever purchased in my life. Out of, I mean, dozens, hundreds maybe. You know, they don't fit, but they're straight. Back out here again today. I'll be doing more of the same. I'm gonna knock down the spot putty. Usually just do that by hand. If you use a DA, you're gonna cut through it too quick. Just stay nice and flat on it. Always be feeling the surface as you are removing the material. I have a lot of sanding to do. Let's get at it. After another night of working, a few more hours down, I got this all knocked down. It's very nice actually, except for I'm a little rusty yet, and I dug an asshole there, and this was all kind of lumpy, so I smoothed it out with some spot filler just to try to make it a little bit easier to block in the next coat of primer. We still got probably at least two, maybe three more coats of primer to lay down on this. So we don't got to get it all right here, but I got to get it a little bit closer than last time. This door, same thing, it turned out really nice, but I got some spot putty here. The damn stuff just doesn't want to dry. It's kind of aggravating me, not gonna lie to you. Which is a bummer, because this thing's pretty much ready for another coat of primer, but that may just have to wait for tomorrow. This is how you build a car at home. You know, every night you get home from work, you eat supper, and you head out to the shop, and you get something done. That's how you do it. You know, it doesn't get done just sitting here. You got to get out and do it. Back out here today, and I've got my painting shirt on. I bought some new primer, you know, instead of the antique primer I was using before. So we're going to try it out, see how it does. Well, I'm going to switch up paint guns this time to this old Harbor Freight paint gun that has long outlived its life expectancy. Because this one, I think we trashed it in the last go there. Yeah, you can clean them, but why bother when they're like $20? Let's get another one. It's like sour cream in there. Well, it is high build. High build generally means there's more solids in the primer. So it does exactly what it says it'll do. It'll build up more material on your surface so that you can block sand more gooder. Now I'm going to make a tremendous mess when I pour this, as is tradition. Oh, the skill. Now 4 to 1 is of course an equivalent ratio of 8 to 2. You find the common denominator or whatever. This 8 to 2 is the same as 12 to 3. So I go on the equal parts side of my paint cup here, and I just go to where it says equal parts, and I'll fill it up to 12, and then I'll add 3 to it. So I'll use the catalyst to fill it all the way up to 15 on there. That's 12 plus 3, 12 to 3. Bet you didn't think you were going to learn math today, did you? But you did. I'm full of education. The cool thing about a urethane primer, it's better than an old school lacquer primer, because if you reduce it enough, it actually acts as a sealer as well. Sealers are pretty much outdated. They're from a time of lacquer primers and paints. And lacquer is not catalyzed. It is a 1K coating, meaning that it is self-catalyzed, kind of like spray paint. And it was something is self-catalyzed. The way it dries is the solvents inside of the paint, or lacquer paint, lacquer thinner, actually evaporates out of the coating. And that's called solvent popping later on when it causes you problems. It actually evaporates out of the coating, leaving the dry coating behind. A 2K coating like this has a catalyst in it. This dries, it's dry on its own. It's going to be the same thing as before here. I'm just going to go hit all my body work, then I'll probably hit the roof once, then I'm just going to keep coating this thing down, like get another 3 or 4 coats of primer on it. My gun's clogged up on me. See, it's spitting. It's actually air is what that is. All those little bubbles, and they're not bubbles really, they're just clumps of primer. There's no such thing as too much primer. I mean, just freaking hose this thing down. You want so much on there that you can knock it down and end up with something resembling a truck. I had to throw my spray gun away. Those Harbor Freight guns, they have a limited use, and I hit the limit. Oh, I'm just glad it wasn't a paint job. You know, not that I would have been using it in a paint job anyway. I'll probably go edit some video and come back and block sand this, since this is all I do with my life now. Well, it's nice and dry now, so we're gonna put down another guide coat. Now, I'm out of black paint, but this blue will work just fine. It doesn't really matter, you just need something that you can see that gets left behind. Well, that's a pretty f***ed up looking zebra. Thankfully, I've brought in the labor, so go ahead and block sand the blue zebra. Actually, why don't you take the fenders and the hood? Yeah. These doors need quite a bit more work. Okay. Let me handle them at first. All right. Because I really want to see what's going on here. Remember, it's going black, so... This door turned out excellent. I had 2 high spots here. I was able to block down. That's great. This door is going to be real nice. This was a pretty good low spot here. Not as bad as I was expecting. And then this here, for some reason, had a little low spot in it. I'm not sure what's going on. The rest of it isn't too bad. This is lumpy right here, and this blocked out pretty good. It's not terrible, but I need it to be pretty damn good for black paint. So I'm actually gonna have my dad come by and just look at this door and tell me what he thinks. The rest of the truck's not bad. JD's been block sanding fenders. How you doing?
Good. Very good.
You're almost done with this fender. I guess I'll do the hood. You probably can't reach that.
You do some of it.
Okay, well, I'll do the hood scoop. I had Dad check out this door because I was worried about it. And he said it's fine. So I'm just going to knock down some of the spot putty. And we're going to put one more coat of primer on it, and then this will be ready for paint. Spot putty's knocked down. I still have a little low spot right here that bugs me, but you know what? At some point you just say, it's fine. We're going to give it another 1 or 2 coats of primer, and that's going to help alleviate that some. But we need to hit all the edges on this thing, because you can see how the primer build up on the edges. And what works best for that is just a red Scotch-Brite. This is about the equivalent of 360 grit sandpaper. It won't leave big gouges or anything. You just, stick it in here. And voila! I did mix this to a sealer ratio, which is 4:1 to 1 part reducer. No, it looks pretty good. Put 2 coats on this door just to try to help block it. But whenever we go to sand this next, we're going to be hitting it with 320 and Scotch-Brites instead of 180. So there's not going to be a lot of material removal in the next step. Alright, back out here today, ready for the final sand. Now we're using 320 and just hand sanding the whole truck. Hit it all with 320, we'll come back with a Scotch-Brite and hit it all again. And then we're going to pull it on out, blow the truck off really good, clean the shop out really good, and then bring it back in, mask it, and it'll be ready for paint. Low spot came out pretty good here. This right here, the final sand, the 320, this is where you can really royally fuck this up. You have to be flat on everything. If you finger sand something, it's going to show, and you'll never get rid of it in a black vehicle. So if we were to paint this thing red or anything easy, it would be fine. You could literally just sand it, hand sand it, you'd never see it. The whole truck's been knocked down with 320. We're going to blow it off. Any Scotch-Brite, pretty much the same thing as sandpaper, because you're just keeping it flat. But the thing about the Scotch-Brite is it's fibrous, so it kind of gets in there, it gets into the little pits and stuff that's remaining in the paint or the primer. Sure, everything is evenly scuffed and sanded. Prep work is everything when it comes to painting. It's way more important than the amount of money you spend on your paint or materials or anything else. About an hour later, this surface is ready for paint. It's all Scotch-Brited, everything's nice and even, all the edges are Scotch-Brited, that's very important. And that's it, that's all you gotta do. Well, let's see if it'll start. Not gonna happen. let her sit out here. We'll drag the air hose out here and blow it off really good. Some people like to wash them first. I don't like to get water down in crevices and stuff like that. So I like to just keep it dry and blow and wipe off the surfaces, including the inside of the truck. But damn, it looks good out here. Look at that thing. You would never recognize this as the same truck. Not a chance. And this took, well, I'd say 2 weeks of total work, but it's gone from nothing on it at all to ready for paint in 5 days. Obviously, we need a cleaner work area than this. The next hour of our lives is going to be spent scrubbing the hell out of the floor and walls of this barn to get the best shot at it we can. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to get some dirt in it. We're going to get some bugs in it. But it is what it is, you know. Or you can go spend $5,000 and, you know, have someone else paint it. And that's it. Yeah, well, laundry detergent and the garden hose. I rinsed off the walls. Scrubbing the floor. Get it clean as possible. It smells like a laundromat in here.
Yeah, it does.
It's nice.
Yeah.
We're all masked up. I think the truck's all done, ready to go. But there are a couple things we got to do first. Use some wax and grease remover, and that's going to get any oily handprints or stuff like that off of the truck. You can even see it in the hood from us touching it. This will get rid of it. Use a microfiber cloth to apply it, and then wipe it off, and you're done. We're also going to use tack cloths. This will pick up any other debris off the surface. So these two things are critical to prepping your car for paint. Wipe the whole door down, wet. Then you'll take your dry one and wipe it off again. This is a tack cloth. It's basically glue on a piece of cheesecloth. And all you're doing with that, do not touch the vehicle. Do not even come close to touching the vehicle, but skillfully and expertly, I just touched it, skillfully and expertly wipe it down with the glue. And it's actually very clean. It's not bad, but you never know, and this will get any sort of residual dust or stuff like that. Actually, damn thing's really clean. Black. It's not a very exciting reveal, is it? Anyway, this is base clear. Looks like you mix your 2 parts color to 1 part reducer. You don't use an activator. You can, but you don't have to use an activator. What is with the wasps in here? Holy God! I mean, they're everywhere. Can you stop? Please go away. Yeah, I know. I shut the door. Yeah. Got this one. Ah! Anyway, we mix 2 to 1. Dump this all over myself. That's what I do. Oh, good pour, Dalton. All right. Only a little mess. It's probably worth noting here that I'm shooting a base clear system. This is an eBay paint kit. They're like $300 to $400 depending on which one. I've used this Yurkim before, whatever the hell it is. And it works pretty good. It's not the best, but it is cheap. And it's, you know, a step above tractor paint. So, I don't know, should be fun. Let's see how it does. Always strain your paint. Before I go back out there, I'm going to mix up another cup gun. That way it's ready to go back to back, you know. My gauge isn't right, but that feels like about 45 psi. We'll start on the roof, the upper surfaces first. Let's get started. All you're trying to do is make the surface color. You don't need to worry about stripes or making it shiny or anything like that. All we need is this to be black.
On the way on the first turn, kind of dry. I don't want any runs in the base coat. You can't fix that. take a note, when you're spraying, overlap about 50%. Keep your gun perpendicular to the panel and cover the last layer you shot with about half of your pattern. So I'm checking to see if it's tacked up, and it is. It's dry. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes, give it a good time for that solvent to pop out of the paint. You know, no reason to rush. Sometimes it's good to cross pack if you can. So I sprayed this way the first time, now I'll spray the other direction, just to make sure I got her. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Whew. Right in here. Now we have to let this flash. Flashing is the solvent evaporating out of the paint. Once it flashes off, it'll be dry to the touch. We'll be ready for clear. Probably about half hour at most.
So we're going to mix up some clear. I'm going to mix it 2 to 1. Mix this with activator because it's clear, and it is actually supposed to harden, seal in everything. In goes the activator. We'll stir it up, and we're going to go make the real magic happen here.
I'm going to bury the whole roof in one coat. You're not supposed to do that, but I don't want to crawl back up here. Thing is, you start spraying up here, your overspray is going to settle down over the whole truck. And I'd rather have the hood look good than the roof. I don't really care about the roof. So I'm going to lay this off probably way too wet, and the other coats are going to come from whatever I can get on it from the ground. But it's all right. It's not like it's going to run up here.
Pretty damn good.
Now, when you're shooting clear, it's like shooting a single stage paint. You want to lay it on there the way you want it to look. You want it to be shiny, you got to lay it on wet. But your first coat can be a tack coat. Kind of put it on a medium coat, then follow it up with some wet coats once it's got something to hang on to.
That looks so good.
Hell yeah. Always cut in the hard to get to spots first. You don't have to, it's just a matter of habit. Now, we're going to let it flash off, pack up, come back at it.
You should be about ready. It's been about 10 minutes.
Let's go back out there. Looks pretty good. There's a lot of dirt in it. I mean, it's a bar. Oh, and I got huge runs in the side of it. Shit. Well, I get to show you how to fix paint now. We're going to bury that in clear coat, then we'll wet sand it. You'll never see it. Oops. It's all right though. the face clear, you can fix that, and we will.
Do one more coat on it. I just got done putting the third coat on it. So we'll end up with 4 on it. I was going to do 3 originally. Just going to put that extra coat on there for the runs. But, you know, it's actually not necessarily a bad thing. Because honestly, the thing laid out good enough. I wasn't going to wet sand it. But now I'm kind of forced to. So, it's going to turn into a better paint job than it actually would have been, in a weird kind of bass-backwards way. What my mistake was on doing it was I had the gun pressure too high. Everything else was fine, but my pressure was too high. I have a faulty gauge on the gun. I should have known. I should have been shooting a little lower, and that's what I've been doing the last 2 coats. It's been totally fine. If I would have done that, it would have been fine, and Dalton's arms wouldn't hurt really bad from wet sanding the whole damn truck. By the way, I'm painting this truck on the day I got 100,000 subscribers. We just hit that milestone. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you guys for being here, especially you guys have been here a long time, you know. It really means something to believe in some idiot in this tin shack and his Hawaiian shirts, you know, so really appreciate it. What should I do with the YouTube play button I get? I'm thinking a little bit of... Alright, I'm coming out here for one more coat. Again, this is not necessary unless you know, are an idiot and get a bunch of runs in your car. And I don't know who would do that. So the truck, it looks freaking great. I mean, it really looks good. It's really straight. I mean, I got nothing to complain about here. The extra clear is actually going to be really helpful for us to keep it straight. Because wet sanding your clear is actually like block sanding primer. You can actually straighten some dents and stuff with it. Not dents, but, you know, little dings and stuff. Well, we got it outside. It's the next day, and the paint's nice and dry. You get it out here, you can really tell. You know, you got to have the sunlight to be able to see it, and it looks good. It's definitely got some orange peel on the sides, but I mean, it is what it is. It'll all come out with wet sanding. And honestly, you kind of need to wet sand anything you paint anyway for it to look slick and nice. You know, if you can get away without it, that's always a good thing, but you know, it's not a big deal. We'll have to wait about 2 weeks probably to wet sand this, because we need time for this cleared. I like it to be totally cured. I don't want to take any chances. So we'll be waiting, you know, a little while to do this. In the meantime, we have a bed to work on, and also the entire interior of the truck still needs done too. We got a long ways to go, but this does go to show you can do this. I've worked on this by myself for about 6 days on the bodywork of it and painted it black, and it's pretty damn good. You can do it. You just gotta get out there and try. You know, I mean, the patina thing is cute and all, but this is way better. So, you want to keep watching, see where the silver dollar goes? You gotta subscribe and hit that like and comment down below, and we'll most likely be working on the bed next and trying to get it painted and everything, just so it's ready to rock. But before you do that, I actually need the shop so I can work on the gold Le Mans over there, because we're going to be doing some pretty massive upgrades to that car. So that's coming, oh god, probably 3 weeks from the time I've shot this. Would you recognize this as the truck that Kevin and I got running in his field and you could walk through the cab?
I don't think so. She's back to her former glory. We'll see you guys next time on Pole Barn Garage.